Milling Through History presents The Real Indiana Jones, Part 2. In our last episode, we looked at the life of Roy Chapman Andrews and how he may have been the inspiration behind the famous figure and film of Indiana Jones. And yet, there was a second figure who could equally be argued as potentially the blueprint for the famed archaeologist adventurer seen in film. This other individual was named Percy Fawcett, and he was born on August 18, 1867, in Torquay, Devon, England. He would attend the Royal Military Academy and was commissioned a lieutenant in the Royal Artillery on July 24, 1886. In 1901, now promoted to the rank of captain, he would begin to learn about surveying and map-making. And during his time in the War Office, he would become friends with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who would use Fawcett's Amazonian field reports as inspiration for the novel The Lost World. Now, one of the very first expeditions that Fawcett made as an explorer would be to South America in 1906. He was ordered to map the border between Brazil and Bolivia as an unbiased third party. And during this time, he claimed to have seen a number of mysterious animals, including a 62-foot anaconda, a cat-like dog the size of a foxhound, and a giant apuzuka spider. His claims, however, were ridiculed by scientists who said it had to have been an overactive imagination or him just mischaracterizing creatures he saw. From 1906 to 1924, he would make 7 additional expeditions to South America, and 4 of them would have rather important effects upon the map-making world and our knowledge of the world itself. In 1908, he would trace the source of the Rio Verde River. In 1910, he found the source of the Heath River. 1911, he would map hundreds of miles of the jungle, and in 1913, reportedly saw the double-nosed Andean tiger hounds. With the outbreak of World War I, Fawcett returned to Britain and served as a reserve officer with the Royal Artillery. He would be promoted to lieutenant colonel on March 1, 1918, and received the Distinguished Service Order the previous year. But in 1914, one of Fawcett's biggest contributions to the world of archaeology was that he began to theorize about a lost city known as the Lost City of Z. And his belief was that a complex civilization lived there, and the ruins of their civilization would still be found within the Amazonian jungle. Now, he based this theory on a manuscript from 1753, which claimed to have discovered a city like that, but had never left behind any coordinates. Following the First World War in 1924, he returned to Brazil to find the lost city. But in 1925, his expedition went out into the jungle and yet never returned. And so the great question was, what happened to Fawcett? Well, he was declared missing and dead in 1927, and no one is really sure what ever happened to him. But the popular belief is that he may have been killed by a local tribe living in the jungle. Some have even claimed to have done that, but there is no concrete evidence to prove that this had happened. Another theory is that Fawcett decided he no longer wanted to live in the modern world, but rather stay in the jungle, and purposely gave the wrong coordinates in his last letter so that no one would follow him, because he knew the danger was too great. And while nobody ever knows what happened to Percy Fawcett, there have been films made about him, the most recent being an Amazon Prime original film called The Lost City of Z. And in it, we see him reaching one tribal village and then continuing off into the jungle, never to be seen again. Will we ever know what happened? Probably not. But in true Indiana Jones fashion, Percy Fawcett goes off into the jungle to make great discoveries, and one can only imagine, if he had lived, what kind of adventures he would have had. For more information, please consider these suggested titles. Be sure to click on the left-hand side of the screen to subscribe to our show, and on the right-hand side for our latest episode. And we will see you again for the next episode of Milling Through History.